We're doing it live. Hey, how you doing? Today on Me and Two Randos, our IQ just went up because we have a doctor here, Dr. Page, and this is the first time she joining us.
Yeah,
So
rounds of applause.
rounds of applause,
Mhm.
and it'll be less random because now the IQ went up, and hopefully we
Yeah.
can stay on topic because
Mhm.
there's two other randos here, and me it was also random that we go off topic all the time.
Mhm.
So
I'm
should
even going
we
off topic in this
should
intro, but we're going to be talking about various things.
should we change the name of the channel to Me and Two Randos?
No,
Or two and two.
just randos. Me and randos.
Just random.
Anyway, the Rando Nation is growing up, is blowing up. So we're going to
Yay.
start off this topic
Mhm.
by welcoming Dana, and she can lead off the first topic.
Oh,
Dr. Page, sorry.
I was not ready. I'm gonna pass that to somebody else.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. You're already fitting in.
First of all,
Exactly. Because that's
first
what
of
happens to
all,
me every day.
SS.
okay. So then let's start off. Oh,
Okay.
I just
Uh-oh.
disappeared.
Oh,
Well, let's start off. I'm curious about what Cassie is representing today because that's a very famous picture behind her.
it is. I'm here for the women. Hey.
That's right.
I'm,
By the
I'm
way,
representing the girls.
I'm curious. What's the history of that picture?
Yeah, because I don't know. Please tell
Of
me.
Rosie the Riveter.
You don't
Yeah,
know Rosie the
Rosie the
Riveter?
Riveter.
Mm.
Okay.
Jay is a
Okay.
history guy.
I
I
know
didn't
he's a
want to say
history
Yeah.
buff.
professor. I didn't want to say professor.
No, but I
See?
didn't
All
want
right.
to start off the topic.
No,
But
no,
Rosie
his
the
name
Riveter,
is Professor J. What are you
Mhm.
talking about?
Professor J.
Rosie the Riveter came about in like World War II mostly, when women had to do the work on domestic soil. So they got into factories and they had a whole lot of things about yes, we can do it too.
Yes, we
Now,
can.
because it was in World War II, they were building, they weren't just sewing uniforms, they were building weapons and inventory, keeping the country running. Because back then women couldn't actually be drafted in the army. They could only be like nurses and stuff like that. And that movement actually started the work movement when they came back because guess what? When the war was over, and I'm not saying this is a misogynist or anything like that, when the work was over, the women was like, well, I was working for 4 years. I'm not going back. You know what
And
I'm
then
saying? And
after
then
all
that
that
started,
hard work, it was
yeah,
followed up immediately by get back in the kitchen.
yeah, yeah.
The
So
nonsense that and one of the reasons, wait, did someone just disappear?
No, you're
Oh,
fine.
they're
okay.
fine.
The reason why I actually want to bring that up is because I had a topic that came up at work actually today because somebody was asking me about women in tech. And I was like, it's kind of interesting that in the tech industry there are more men than women because women are who created the computer industry. As a matter of fact, the term computer was a job position held primarily by women when they first started doing what was the concept of coding. As a matter of fact, the first coder was a woman. And so it's just very interesting that now it's all the tech bros and everything. And it actually started off, the word computer came from back in the day when they used to have people that used to create the punch cards that computers used to use. It was primarily the primary people that did that were women, just collections of women, even up to the days when um, we were
Going
going
to the
to the
moon.
moon.
NASA, baby.
The people who did much of the computation in NASA were women. And
Hmm.
so it's just crazy to me that like at some point this became like a high paying job that has a shortage of women considering they did it for the majority of the technical industry's history. All the way back to the back in the days of Babbage's when he created the first machine that can reason
I
and
thought he created the store. called Babages.
No. He didn't create that.
I'm just kidding.
But Ada Lovelace was the one who helped him develop what was essentially the first method of coding.
Mhm.
And like it's crazy to think that like everyone says that Babbage's is the father of the tech industry, when actually Ada is who created the first concept of a programming language. And as a matter of fact, they went so far as to name one of the older programming languages that was used by the US military for a very long time. They named it Ada after her.
Nice.
Nice. And to echo your point, Oracle, real quick, because she just died last week, Gladys West, who was very key in GPS. So the fact that I can't find my way around New York, I could just go onto the GPS.
Everyone knows that without that woman,
Kal-El would not exist.
Yeah, but you know,
Kal-El will be in a permanent
knows
state
about
of lost.
GPS, but not a lot of people know about this lady. She just died at like 95. And it's like, you know, and if anybody wants to see a good movie, of course, we were all hitting at it, Hidden Figures. It's a real movie. It's real things that happen. You know, the obstacles in their way, despite knowing math. I would have said math would have been my only obstacle. I'm out. But these women overcame the lot, you know? So check out Gladys West, check out Hidden Figures, check out Ada. We got the knowledge in front of us.
Oh, and when you get a chance, also check out Grace Hopper.
Oh, and check out Grace Hopper.
She was think about it. This woman, Grace Hopper, was a computer scientist, a mathematician, Navy admiral. And there are people that don't know her name, which is shocking to me. So if you get a chance, check out Grace Hopper as well, because she also played a huge role in the tech industry.
All right. So, Dr. Dana, what do you do exactly?
I am a Black cultural liaison, so I teach people how to be anti-racist. Particularly for I do presentations on disrupting white supremacy, particularly in the special education system and education system overall. But it has grown to do systems change work, because that's really where a lot of the problems are, at the system level. So I go around and do presentations and things around that.
Interesting.
And the picture behind you says "Turn the Page Consulting." Just wanted to say that, because it's sort of cut off, but Turn the Page Consulting.
For the culture is underneath, because I'm for Black people. I'm pro-Black. I make no concessions for that. Anybody that knows me and knows, I speak very freely, bluntly. I don't sugarcoat. So I had to start my own consulting business to be able to do that, because people kept trying to censor me, schools, districts, all of that. That's also drove me to get my PhD, because people kept telling me like, oh, that's not what's happening, when I saw it in real time in the classroom. I was a special ed teacher. I'm seeing only Black kids in my classroom labeled with emotional behavior disorders. And I was like bringing it up, telling people, and they're like, oh, you know, be quiet. You're a paraeducator. Then I became a teacher. Oh, you're just a teacher. Be quiet. I kept going. And then finally I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my PhD. So now I can say the data says this. It's not Dana saying this. The data says this. And so now I run around and do that. And it's interesting.
Interesting. So this is going to be an excellent podcast, because we have our resident racist, Jay Morte.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Resident racist?
When was that? You talk about a civil war? You talk about a civil war?
Oh my God.
Somebody tried to besmirch my character. I am not the resident racist. Do not let me pull out the high English words. All right? Don't besmirch my character on here. I am.
So you need. they're saying it for a reason, so you got to explain.
No, he's just saying it to say. That was the
They
wrong.
are both like falling out,
Listen,
and I need to know.
no.
Right.
Let me refer. Let me refer.
I am not the resident. I am
No,
not.
Jesus Christ.
No.
Are we dealing with a Clayton Bixby? Is that what's happening?
No.
No. Jay
Oh my God.
Jay is actually the advocate on
Okay.
not the racist, but we joke it because we tease him constantly by going, "Hey, that sounds racist," but no, that is just an inside joke. Jay is actually one of the biggest advocates of the randos. And like, so I'm super excited to actually have Dr. Dr. Page here specifically for these kinds of conversations, because we have them, but like I don't think we spend time talking about them enough. But it was a joke. Dr. Dana.
I mean, I get that a lot.
He is not racist.
People say all the time, because I feel so strongly about Black people, and I'm very so pro-Black, that I have, there are people that are like, "Oh, you're racist," and I'm like, I'm pro-Black. I'm for us, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and like there's a difference, right? That's the thing. But like I said, Jay is the one of our biggest advocates, and like he probably ran into the same situation that you ran into, where people say things like that. So yeah. Sorry, Jay, what were you saying?
So, Dr. Page, we're going to build off of what you just said, right?
All right.
I was originally supposed to be in special ed. My mom didn't believe in that, so that's how I ended up going to private school. Right? So I understand what you're talking about. And I've seen it in other people. They said, "Oh, I was supposed to be here. I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be there." They put me in here, and then, when I got to 4th grade, I got out of it. Or somebody, or a teacher, or somebody took interest and got me out of it and put in it. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. Do I think it's like, a systematic issue? I'm like, well, some groups get diagnosed and get pills. Other groups get put in a class system. So you're right to go after the system, and you're right to just advocate, because, hey, all right, you might be right about 2, but you got 7 people in here, and that person just needed a little extra time. They didn't need special ed. And special ed in the 80s and early 90s, that's like the worst. It's like you going against the wall, they're not teaching you nothing. And Cassie, this as a social worker, you have to look at certain things. So, Cassie, I'd be interested in hearing your perspective on it.
Yes, see, I want to hear it too, because I work with a lot of social work. I mean, in special ed, you work with a lot of related service providers, other people outside school. So I understand and see it from all aspects.
Yeah. And I'm actually at a high school, so hearing Jay's story, it's really, really it's what I see every day. I feel like you are very lucky to have a parent that was like, "No, we're not going for this," because you see that a lot of kids that have parents that are not really interested in their education, they get stuck in these classes and different situations that's not really fit for them, because nobody cares to get down to the root of what the problem is. Some kids don't do well at school because they're not eating at home, or they don't have anybody to wake them up to get to school. And that doesn't mean that they need special education services. They just need somebody to take the time to work with them and show them the proper way to use their education. A parent.
Yeah.
And Jay, that's actually so my business is 2 parts. I help families navigate the system, because special education system is very complex. And then I help professionals and organizations be culturally responsive to families, because there is a lot of that. And when you think about the workforce, it's predominantly white, okay? Middle class white women, all right? Certain demographic, they view behaviors a certain way. There's a cultural disconnect. They don't understand Black culture. So everything is seen from that viewpoint. And so everything outside of that viewpoint is bad. good versus bad. Oh, that's not normal. I don't understand this. So they label all the kids, and then it's a problem if you say something about it or, bring this up, and then, oh, I'm not like that. And then there's so many different elements. But here in America, you cannot talk about these things without talking about race. Okay. It's embedded in everything we do. Okay. Even how the education system came about was because they after the war and everything, they needed workers, and so that's why the system was created. So school wasn't even created to have people be able to think, read, and write, and all of that. It was to teach white boys to be able to have the things they need to go be land building and go do. Yes, so that's the reason. And then from there, it's just progressively gotten worse. Yes, there's a lot I could say about it, but yes, I help families. So the fact that you had your parents, your family say like, no, I wish, and then there's the misconception that Black families don't care about their kids' education, and that is not true. Like Cassie said, that is not true at all. But if you already have, let's say you have multiple kids, maybe you're a single parent, maybe you have to juggle 3 and 4 jobs. The school's not working with you. They're like, oh, nope, you have to be at this meeting at this time on this day. Oh, well, you didn't do it. We just went ahead and signed them up. Like, what? They don't. And then if you go into a meeting, it's very intimidating to walk into a meeting, predominantly white people around you telling you all of these things. They're throwing these terms at you. You don't know your rights. You don't understand them fully. Can you say no? Can they just do that? School systems run over families, do that. It's so complex. It's so bad, but so many people get eaten up in the system, and I hate it. So I am trying to fight
and I also think there's another system to it. I agree with, majority of what you're saying, Dr. Page, but I also think it's like we have to trust and verify, right? Because you're trusting, oh, these are the experts. So this is what the experts are saying. Because they could be right about some of the things, and they could not be right. There's a lot of people in here that use special ways of learning. Like we don't like reading books, we like videos sometimes. So we listen to the video and we retain all that knowledge.
Yeah, so that's how I learn most of my stuff.
Yeah,
but I watch a lot of screen time.
I want to. I agree with actually almost everything that Dr. Page mentioned just now, because like I see that on a daily basis. So I manage a team at a small company, and one of the things that I've noticed is that, like, for example, I would go on interviewing blitzes where, like, just tons of people, just some employees get together, they go through and they interview a lot of people just to see who's a good fit for the company. And you would like I would see the difference in the kind of feedback you would get when they interview a white person compared to when they interview like a black person or a person of Middle Eastern descent or something like that. It would be a completely different discussion in that interview. Where, like, I remember this one time where it jumped out at me that, like, the feedback that we got from the person just before, who was white, was like, okay, here's the technical reasons why he didn't do this, and here's so he did this, but okay, so I don't think he's a good fit because he didn't seem to have a lot of technical knowledge on this particular thing. And then right afterwards, we had an interview with someone from we covered someone of Middle Eastern descent, and like some of the feedback was he seemed aggressive. I don't like I don't know that he'd be a good fit for the team. And I'm like, okay, so to be fair, he was not technically strong either. So I agree he wasn't a good thing for the company. But like we started off with the fact that he made some of the people feel uncomfortable as the starting point for the discussion about that person. And like those are the kinds of things that jump out to me when I work in this environment. Like it changes from, hey, this person doesn't have the technical knowledge they need, to, hey, this person makes me feel uncomfortable.
Dr. Page, when he said they viewed him as aggressive, I see you make that face of, I think, can you kind of talk about what we as women deal with about that term, aggressive?
Oh, yes, because I feel so strongly and speak so strongly, right, about how I feel. I'm the angry Black woman, okay? And so people, it's like, it's crazy that you said aggressive, because I worked in a school and had a situation with a student that turned pretty bad, where they tried to investigate me and everything. And so the school is doing a whole investigation and all that. So they go around and interview the teachers and the principal and all that. I didn't see all this until the end. So at the end of the investigation, I see all the paperwork. And in there, the principal had written in there like, oh, she's aggressive, she's this, she's that. I'm like, aggressive? It never came up in my evaluations. It never came up in any of that. And I'm like, I'm aggressive because I said that you only place Black students in my classroom for behavior disorders. And I've seen the exact same behaviors from white students and nothing happened. So when you speak your mind, when you're strong-willed, when you don't let people just walk over you, then it makes them uncomfortable, and they revert to that. And then even with you saying, sitting in the interview, and then they're like, oh, he seems aggressive. We get that kind of messaging every day in our media, in the music we listen to, videos we watch. That messaging is portrayed through, is constantly bombarded. Our brains can only cipher through so much information. So that's how we filter, right? And so when you're constantly being shown like, oh, in the news, how they describe Black people protesting, calling them rioters, right? Versus white people being described as, oh, peacefully protesting. That sends a message. That's sending messages. Even if you don't feel like you are that way in person, that messaging comes through in situations like that. So it's constantly, you do have to constantly address it. Even it even works with Black people, where you might feel some, because the messaging, it works that way too, where you have to then check yourself like, wait, okay, hold on. I don't need to feel this way. It's because they have ingrained in us that, oh, if you see a group of black kids or a group of Black people together, you got to be on defense. You got, what's going to happen. It's embedded in everything. So hearing, that's not a surprise to me that they said that and responded that way.
So in my job, I got a woman's test. I got an aunt's test and a wife's test in terms of aggressiveness, because to the outside culture, sometimes it could be aggressive. I mean, Dr. Page, you got a great, and these codes, you have a great tone. So even though you're very passionate, your tone is very soft. Sometimes the tone ain't so. Yo, Cassie, she know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you be like, well, that does look aggressive. Like you right up in the screen, but it's nice, Dr. Page, right? When I see it at work, I think about it all the time. I say, okay, that's not aggressive. She just, like, especially like if you're stern and you say, hey, I just want to do my work. We're doing this, this, and this. In our culture, that's what a lot of us get taught. There's no sugarcoating it. So then when you come with that same authority, same type of influence, who are you to tell me? I just told you what to do. That's what you need to do. You can't go around the boat. I mean, there's a few of us, all of us probably in here would tell us about parents if we try to do some of that sugarcoating that people get away with today. And sometimes part of that aggressiveness as a woman, the woman has to be tough. Throughout history, the Black woman got to be tough. So they got to have that aggression, and I shouldn't say aggressiveness. I really should say a personality, a trait that they need. Because it's not aggressive. It's just how we see it, how we perceive it.
You have to be persistent. That's it. You just have to be persistent. And that is often viewed as being aggressive or overly passionate. I've heard that before too.
Oh, and expressive with the eyes. Don't forget the black women with the eyes, because I saw it, Cassie. I saw it when, yo, we gotta be expressive. Like, you ready to knock me out? We gotta be expressive. So I'm sitting back because I got an expressive woman behind me right now, and you know I'm sitting back.
I was gonna say, I remember when I got a review, one of my first reviews I ever got, like, and I really appreciate my first manager. He was a white person, but like he had some common sense that like diversity is important because uh, different perspectives matter. And I remember one of my first reviews that I received was you solved a huge problem that we didn't even think was going to be successful, and you managed to pull it off. And so you exceeded expectations. And so, like, we talked about the pay increase and everything, but there is some negative feedback. And I kid you not, this is what he told me. He said he received feedback from some people that to make this project work, you were super aggressive. And this word like is kind of like I understand why Dr. Page has that reaction when you hear the word. Like to me, aggressive ranks up there with one of the more annoying words, like moist. It,
Wow. Wow.
Moist is an awesome word, sir.
No, 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 no.
Whoa.
I'm just saying that
Whoa.
it's considered one of the most unpleasant words in America. In America, it's considered one of the more unappealing words. But he said some of them even gave you the nickname. I kid you not. I kid you. This is serious. Some of them even said they gave you the nickname the Bulldog, because once you get set on a path to achieve a goal, nothing stops it. And so, like, there were times, and I didn't know why, right? But some teams were like, we won't have a meeting with him unless one of our directors are present, because they were afraid of me. And he was like, now I'm giving you this feedback because I have to. And he was like, I want you to do me a favor and focus more on your successes than that. Because um he's worked with me now for a full year and a half, and nowhere in what I was doing did anything ever seem aggressive in any of the meetings he's been in with me. And yes, I do work with people, and when people give me shitty excuses, I let them know that I call them out. I have no problems with doing that, because people will come up with justifications for not doing what's right, and I don't play that game. And
Oh,
so,
stop playing. You was in there elbowing people, bum
okay,
rushing
so
them.
the one person that received the people's elbow, no, no, I'm kidding. No, like, listen, I, I don't fight with people. Like, it's usually a conversation, and when the conversation is over, we either agree or we disagree. And if we disagree, then we escalate to the appropriate leader to make a decision, and that's it. And that's all my process was. And that is literally the process that everyone follows. But because I was driving an extremely difficult process, I had to escalate more than normal. And
Hmm.
oftentimes I won because I came in with, as Dr. Page said, the data. And you can't really argue against the data. And when you bring the data and they lose, there's always a sore feeling, in particular because they lost to someone of my persuasion. And so it's like, oh, it's so aggressive. And now they're starting to bring their directors into the conversation. And guess what? Director and all will be like, oh, there's the data. I guess we have to do it. And then what do they win from that? They just wasted a director's time. They've made the meeting more expensive. I would think that that would reflect positively on me and negatively on the people who are wasting the director's time. And the fact that my manager was like, I had to give it to you because it was feedback and company policy requires me to do that, but like focus on your successes.
So
that was his feedback to me.
So Oracle, what I'm hearing, if I was doing it for like the general audience, and let's say it was a sports audience, is football. And the conversation behind the black quarterback and the white quarterback, or even the perception of how athletes act. Tom Brady is crazy. Tom Brady, he'll call a person an asshole and, oh, you better get in here and get in the game. And you hear the announcer, and it could be an unconscious bias. Look at the passion he shows. Let a wide receiver go out there and say, I was wide open. Why did you pass me the ball? Oh my God, he's a prima donna. Look at that diva. He's showing up the quarterback. He didn't know what the quarterback had to do. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, two of the best quarterbacks, happen to be white, but it's not about their color. It's about their demeanor. Tom Brady once threw out somebody, a center, because he didn't have a long enough towel so he could dry off his hands so he could hold the ball. Peyton Manning recently admitted he made a center or somebody on the offensive line not celebrating the victory huddle because on a couple plays before that, he was offsides and could have cost them the game. But this is passion. This is discipline. Certain people can be a bulldog, and they're like, "Oh my God, I like it because he gets the job done." Other people be a bulldog, and it's making me feel a certain way. I'm feeling bad.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you feel like the Deion Sanders and his son situation was a sort of like an example of that, where his son didn't get?
I will say it this way, and this might be the inside joke Dr. Page was waiting for. His son was drafted in the 5th round. Should he have been drafted in the 5th round? I don't think he was a 5th round prospect. But when you're a 5th round prospect, nobody talks about the 5th round prospect. I know all 32 teams in the league. If somebody drafted in the 5th round, I'm not even talking about him because he's usually a 3rd string. Now, did they alienate him a little bit more because he had this Hall of Fame father and the father with the bravado? See, now
was cocky.
Yeah. So look, it's just like these two guys stacking smoke, bringing it all full circle, right? Deion Sanders, primetime Deion Sanders, not only talked the talk, but walked the walk. And looked at people and said, you think this guy gonna beat me tonight? We gonna see 2 interceptions. That before he even catch the ball, he's already doing the primetime dance, right? His son has that swag. Now, there's certain swagger and confidence that I will say that in a black person or a black man, they can't show it. They got to be humble a little bit.
That's sadly why I always neutralize and dumb down and nerf myself all the time.
Yeah, because based on the knowledge, it's not based on what our position is. And that's the thing. That's what Dr. Page was saying earlier. Based on her knowledge, wasn't what her position was. So she had to get the position so they could respect the data and the knowledge.
They still don't respect it.
Yeah, they still don't, but they got to listen to it because guess what? You did it by so-called their rules.
Right.
Went to their education, did by their rules. Shador, I think he's good. I think if you did a little bit more prepped, but because he was drafted in the 5th round and he was behind 3 other quarterbacks, I can't really say that for sure. What I hope would happen with him, he goes on the field as so many people do and prove it on the field that he's.
That's what he's been doing. That's what he's been doing.
He's been doing it.
But see, and he also had to have the media training because, you got this other voice in you, and we're not talking about mental issues right now, but you got this other voice. Did I hear that right? Am I doing this right? How am I supposed to answer that question? Because if we answer it with what we're really feeling, there'll be a whole lot of X-rated, like, I can't believe he talked to the media like that.
It's weird that I don't know exactly how to explain this, but it's it's like a double-edged sword that he is who he is, because with all of the media training that he's had watching his dad growing up, he has not said anything that's like far out in all of this that's been going on. He's been level-headed. He's been explaining his position. He's been basically humble. Even though he has his dad's bravado, you can tell that he's humbling himself to not mess up his chance. So
his chance.
Yeah.
And he's playing, to be fair, he's also playing an historical position that they claim. They always say it's the only position is the with the most pressure, because there's never a sub. You don't sub in. In any other profession, you got 2 wide receivers, at least 2. Quarterback, you only want 1. And I think as a corporation, if you were looking at it in a business perspective, and we see this in the corporate world, we don't really see a lot of black heads up at the top until they're like over dramatic, like Pat Mahomes, even Lamar Jackson. Classically, you're a good athlete, so you could transfer to wide receiver, running back, cornerback. No, I want to be the quarterback. I want to run the team. And, going back to what Oracle said, running a team and bringing not just diversity, but bringing equity to a team and responsibility. Because what would have happened if Oracle didn't push the project? Something very key. We thought this plan was going to fail. He said we didn't have much faith in this plan. So for the plan to come to fruition, had to take a certain sense. Hey, this person is not working out, their personality, can you reach out to them and you talk to them about whatever they like to talk about, and you get
them. Can I say something?
Of course.
So going to your point, Oracle, about them expecting you to fail. Okay. And then the quarterback issue of with mainly white quarterbacks, that still ties back to racism, because they believe that we did not have the IQ, that we're not smart enough, okay, to run the team and be quarterback. So that's why that position was mostly held for white quarterbacks, because they were like, oh, black men are strong, they this that, we can put them there, they're fast, they're this, when the same way at Columbines, when they're looking at him like, oh, look at his back and his thick legs and this and that. No. Same thing they were doing.
Well, the Columbine does sound great.
That's why I don't watch the draft night for that specific reason. I don't watch the Combine. I don't watch any of that stuff. Or whatever people are like, oh, we gotta go watch the draft. I just avoid it like a plague because of that in the back of my mind.
I just want to call out one thing. They didn't expect the project to succeed, though, because when I wrote up the plan and they saw the scale of which the plan required me to operate, their thought was we needed to hire an entire team to be able to take it on. And I told them, if they give me 3 people, I'll get it done. If they give me 3 people right now, I'll get it done. And so the fact that I did it so cheaply was the thing that surprised them, not that. So the plan could have been a success with a lot more people. I managed to do it faster and cheaper than they expected. And that is the reason why they thought I was making a poor judgment, and I proved them wrong. So it wasn't that they didn't think I could do it. They thought I needed more than I needed. And I don't like, for me, more people oftentimes make things harder. So you don't need a lot of people. You just need people to listen.
So
Yeah.
even approaching it by that aspect, Oracle, you see what you said? I need a tight-knit group that's probably you thought was going to listen to me and be able to handle that pressure, right? And you still made it succeed. So even the concept of like leaving it open to you is not necessarily talking about racism against you, but it can be an unconscious bias.
Correct.
It can be like,
okay, I see that.
okay, there's no way that this person could do it this way. And there's a lot of times that we take a wing and a prayer as a community and make blossoms out of it. Like, hey, what are we doing? You know? But
well, I think Dr. Page, one thing I really appreciate her saying, and it's a point that a lot of people don't get, is the data. Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. A lot of people don't operate from having that information, and that breaks down a lot of barriers because nobody can combat the numbers. It just doesn't make sense. So I think that's a concept a lot of people don't grasp when they're in this fight.
Yeah. And now it's because I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota now, and there's a thing called Minnesota Nice, and they passive aggressive and beating around the bush. So I very clearly in meetings in my other job say that I don't like that, and I speak very bluntly to issues and things, and just call out. I basically call it out, like, we're not going to just keep meeting to just meet. Like, I don't like that. We're going to get stuff done. But now my coworkers, colleagues, they'll be like, I don't know. What does the data say, Dana? And I'm like, oh, here you go. It's just they make these little comments thinking that's gonna make me, or I don't know what they expect, because I'm like, oh, I do have the data if you need it. It's right here. Like, what else do you want to know? Like, you're not going to that's not going to deter me. If anything, it's going to make me go harder. So navigating these spaces, and let me clarify too, I live, so when I was in Lexington, I grew up and lived in predominantly white neighborhood. I went to school. I didn't have Black teachers until college. Well, I think I had one in middle school. But predominantly white classrooms, classes, school systems. Then when I was working, same thing. So then went from there to here. And I say that because, of course, people's experiences will be a little different if you live in a city with a lot more Black people, okay? Or where you go to a school or you live in a neighborhood, so the experiences may be different. But I am navigating predominantly white spaces, and I see how they operate and the things they do and say, and, where it's covert and overt, where it's like some is very in your face, like there's no mistaking it. And then there's the other subtle ways of like them using policies, such as things like even in school systems, when I tell them to challenge and look at their policies, because they have a lot of schools have a thing about hoodies, can't have your hood up, okay? And I do a whole thing of like, I have never seen kids hide a gun or do anything in their hoodie, because they say it's a safety rule, and I'm like, what's the safety?
Okay,
please explain to me. And the reason I don't like that is it's targeting what population, who predominantly wears their hood up, where did that come from? All of that ties again back to racism, even in clubs, establishments, when they change the dress code.
No sneakers.
No
sneakers. No ball caps.
No this and that. Basically, they're saying no Black people, but they're saying that they're putting it in this way, like it's the same thing. And so there's a lot of people that don't see it that way, or they'll be like, oh, well, no, that could mean this, and that could be this. No.
It could mean what?
Wait. Let me give Oracle. Let me give an example of this that it's actually reversed, but it's the exact same thing. About 15 years ago, I got hired by a company. The company is a more relaxed, laid-back vibe. But the company that I worked at before that was literally a finance company in Wall Street. Okay? I left Wall Street, went to this more relaxed company. I'm used to being buttoned down, slacks, nice shoes to work. I came to work my first day at this more relaxed company, and the manager called me, and the manager said that I'm making the rest of the staff uncomfortable. Nothing's bad, but I'm going to send you home for the rest of the day. And when you come back, just dressed in hoodies, jeans. You don't even have to wear sneakers. You can wear flip-flops. So it's the same thing, but in reverse. I got sent home for being too well dressed to be around these people, and I'm like, what? So
I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna add. Hold on. Sorry, Dr. Page. To add to
Dr. Dana
that,
worked too.
because I know what company he is referring to, and I also worked at at that company, and coincidentally, there was a person who I worked with in my building who came to work in full medieval
yeah,
livery.
yeah. I've seen that. I've seen
And
that recently.
one,
Mhm,
no one felt uncomfortable or questioned the way
mhm.
that person dressed.
Chain meal and
But
everything.
he came to work in a perfectly legitimate suit that he felt comfortable going to work in,
Mhm.
and that made other people feel
Other people.
uncomfortable.
And
You explain that one to me. I
Mhm.
want to hear this.
it's
Wait,
it's
before you start, I need you to go like this and warm up your shoulders. Okay, yeah. Hit us.
uh, it's funny you say that. Because I experienced that as well.
Mhm.
And especially here in the Midwest, they don't know how to dress. Okay, they ain't got no style, no. And it's very easy to dress nice or really just wear regular clothes, and it's a step up, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
So I do. I dress up when I go in, and particularly if I'm presenting for Turn the Page or something. I'm in all pink. I'm gonna represent my brand and my business. But it does, so instead of, they haven't said I make them uncomfortable, but they're like, oh, you're always so well put together.
Mhm.
Oh, you look so nice. And I'm like, so are you saying I'm well put together because, like, what were you expecting me to look like? Or it's like, what did you already have in your head of how I should come, right?
Mhm.
And then you have all these misconceptions or these biases, it all just comes out in the different microaggressions that I experience day to day, every day, all day. So yes, I have experience where if you dress nice, it's a problem. If you dress
And on the flip
regular
side.
clothes, it's a problem. They just have a problem all the time.
Mhm.
So
By the way, we first of all, I do want to tell Dr. Page that you are the first person who joined this channel who actually kept us on topic
On topic.
for more
At
than
least
10 minutes.
45 minutes.
And so, like, I think I would like, I at least would like to learn more about the company and the kind of work it does because, like, I like the little logo in the back there. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
yes, so my logo, that's the Black Power Fist, and then
Mhm.
the book, the Turn the Page, because I'm trying to turn the page on the inequities and the disproportionality. Really, is what
Mhm.
I get to, is the disproportionality of Black students being identified not only for special ed, because and let me explain disproportionality, because I know there's a lot of terms that get thrown around, and people are like, oh yeah, yeah, disproportionality, but significant disproportionality means that if you have a population of students, like, for example, if 10% of your student population, school population, are Black, but they make up 50% of the disciplinary action, so they're getting suspended, they're getting kicked out of class and all of that, that is significant disproportionality because they don't even make up 50% of the school population. So how are they making up 50% of the disciplinary actions? That is and statistically speaking, that's where that comes from, because that's too far of a gap to not be discrimination. So that's where that comes
Absolutely.
from. And it can go the other way too. Like if you look at gifted and talented programs, Black students are often not in those. Okay. So you'll have a school that has a very high population of Black students, might have, let's say 20% Black students, and there will be 0.2% of Black students in gifted and talented programs. That's a significant disproportionality in the other way. Like they are not being represented
Mhm.
in gifted and talented programs. So that's what we mean. That's what that word means. And like that's a problem because yes.
I was
Or
going to add on to that. I think that in itself also perpetuates the problem because those people who are, for example, the example you made with the gifted and talented programs having a lower proportion, in that being the case, that further leads people to believe things because you'll hear people say things like, yeah, I didn't see very many black people in the gifted and talented program when I was in it. Like, there just aren't that many smart black people. Or
Mhm.
like it also fosters that or perpetuates the same system that we're discussing right now, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm,
And I experienced that because I was in advanced classes, all of that kind. I was the only one.
mm,
There were no other, you
Yeah.
hear, you listen to your other people's experiences, you think about your own and reflect back. Even my parents got back to when they were in school and they were like, oh my gosh, the class I was in was, it was like, oh, I ended up being in this class, but then all my friends were in that class. Why? And um, so that's really what I work to do is the disproportionality, not just in academics, but behaviorally. And my
mm,
my dissertation was on, I did a whole meta-analysis on the academic achievement of students with emotional behavior disorders. I did a replication of a study that was done 20 years ago and found out that the outcomes are even worse than they were 20 years ago. So we're
mm,
not
Mm.
we're not doing a good job. If you're identified, if you're a Black student, and then it's layered, right?
mm,
Already, if you're a Black student, let's just say you're a Black student in the school system, your trajectory is already worse than your peers, all the other your white peers, everybody else.
mm,
And then now let's say you're identified with special ed. Well, now you're more likely to end up in not graduate. You're gonna not have a harder time keeping a job. Um, then let's say you're identified with special ed, but then placed into EBD, behavior
mm,
disorder is one of those. Then you're more likely to end up in this criminal justice system, juvenile justice, criminal justice system, drop out, like I said, not have a job, not keep a job, more likely to drug use, all of that.
mm,
So all of that plays a part in
mm,
the access, the resources you get, people's perceptions, right?
mhm.
Because now the teacher gets the list and they looking like, "Ugh,
Mm-hmm.
I got five EBD, yeah, and they're
Right.
already like
Mike
up
Epps
behavior
went
problem.
through everything that you just said, like
Mhm.
everything from being placed in special ed, everything, and that he had to drop out of school. Then he went into drugs. He went into the underground, and someone gave him a chance. Ice Cube gave him a shot with next Friday.
Mhm.
Everything you said, I was like, Mike Epps just said all of this on Club Shay Shay, like
Yeah,
word
I
for
mean,
word.
Mhm.
So
it,
There's a study, somebody did a study, I'll have to find it. But they interviewed or they collected all of the rappers and
mhm,
other entertainers,
mhm,
verses and lyrics about school and
mhm,
stuff and saw like how many were in or were placed in
mhm,
special ed or told this or that. Like how
mhm,
it's very
Yeah.
common, right?
Mhm.
And why was that? Like they were very
mhm,
smart, they were very talented. It's like they don't consider musical talent, artistic talent.
mhm,
Also that you can be dual, you can have a need in one area, like you need help in reading, but that
mhm,
does not mean you can't be in the gifted program for something else. Like
Right.
you
mhm.
can do both.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I can speak
I
Wait,
have a
Cassie
directly
had to say
towards
something.
that. Oh yeah,
What
sorry, go
exactly?
ahead. Mm,
Mhm,
Uh, as somebody that works in the education field and also being Black, what
mm.
are some ways we can contribute to the fight? Like, as a school personnel, what could I do to help this cause?
To for you it'd be to just call everything out as you see it every time. Like that's the thing I'm trying to get people to understand too. Because when people say, oh, I'm an ally, I support this, it's not really helping if you sit there and you see a situation that is wrong and you don't say anything and you're like, well, I didn't agree with it. Well, nobody could tell how. How am I gonna tell that?
Mm-hmm.
You better do something. No, when I'm teaching about being anti-racist, I teach it's an active thing you do. It's
mhm,
active. You're going
Mm-hmm.
to actively do something. Now, I know there are different ways and people have different some people are not comfortable speaking out loud in front of everybody. I know that I'm very vocal. I know a lot of people are not. But if you are in a position and especially, yeah, if you're in a position where you can pull someone to the side or talk to somebody in authority or go to, like, you need to find which way that you can actively say and do something against what you're seeing, or else you're just helping perpetuate the problem. Um, and with Black people, I do feel like there's a lot of Black people who have that go along to get along. And it bothers me, but I can't, because I just feel like we need more people to really stand up and say, like, this is not right and I'm not going to stand for it. But you do have to understand it comes with consequences, because I have lost many jobs. I have been blacklisted, all of that from places. I've been investigated. I mean, I've been attacked, all kinds of things. It does come with some consequences. I'm prepared to take those consequences, because you're not just going to run over me and do this to my people. You're not. Okay? I'm not going to allow it. And
Oh,
so
we see the neck
Yeah,
movement. We see the neck movement. Hold
wait,
on, Doc.
you
But
just
I do. But Dr. Page, I appreciate you telling the negative side as well as the positive side. Because on a lot of these podcasts, and usually this is not our subject of choice, because we're random. We talking about random things. We're not talking. But I will say I appreciate that immensely about the negative side, just as the positive side. It's kind of like what I hate when I hear business entrepreneurs on,
hmm
yeah, this is the most successful thing and it's not hard. And I'm
no,
like,
It's
what are they
not hard.
talking
Yeah,
about?
it's very
yeah,
hard.
yeah.
It's
Like
very hard.
identifying a niche and then building up an entire company around it is not an easy
It's
thing.
not easy,
That
right? But
person may have had an easy time because they happen to have experience that gave them the knowledge, and then the opportunity came up at the right time, and they were lucky, and good for them. But no, it is
and,
not
and,
easy.
and don't forget, they may have the knowledge, but most importantly, some of those people that were successful had the money connections.
Not
Because
just
I heard
yes.
Mark Cuban say
So,
this one time.
so
I heard Mark Cuban say this one time. That kid in a community school have the same great ideas that a kid in Ivy League school has. The difference is the person in the community school don't have the financial network to pull it up. Versus the
my
person in Ivy League, he met all the
mhm.
rich connections as soon as he got in.
my my
Hey, you know,
my my when I graduated, I heard some of the wisest words I've ever heard, right? That people have a wrong definition of luck. People think luck is like, oh, this person happened to fall into this situation. This person happens to fall into that situation. And that is incorrect. Luck is when skill meets opportunity. That is what makes luck. And for many of the people who are marginalized, they have the skills, but they are less likely to hit those opportunities. And so, for all those people that have those easy paths, it's because their parents had the money to basically debut them to the collections of people that have those open opportunities waiting for them. And that is why this is part of the reason why this systematic um, marginalization is the major problem that needs to be solved. Like I have this conversation constantly um, with my significant other because she is a different race than me, and we run into situations where she's like, "Oh, we just gotta do that," and I'm like, "Yeah, you can just do that." For me, it's a whole lot of work because even for something like we'll be walking across the street and like the light would start flashing orange sorry, the walk light would start flashing, letting you know that it's almost time for it to stop, and I stop, and she's like, "Come, we can make it across. We can make it across." And then she's standing on the other side waiting for me, and I stopped. And she's like, "Why? Nobody isn't gonna ticket you for jaywalking." I have been ticketed for jaywalking in the middle of the night. No one else was on the road except for the arbitrary police car that happened to be parked further down on the corner. And they found me. And so while she doesn't have that problem, I do.
Mm.
And while like certain rules can be just slightly ignored, we have a friend who was like, dude, I feel sorry for you, because we were telling stories and she was telling a story about how like she was out partying, she got completely drunk, and then a policeman pulled her over, and they were like, okay, and the policeman gave her a ride home, and uh didn't tow her car, left it parked, and gave her a ride home. And me, while I was in Florida, I worked during a Mardi Gras party, and because I was working at the location, a bunch of people came by and like gave me beads and was like joking with me. Yeah, show me some boobs and give me beads and all. They were just joking. And so I had a ton of beads by the time the night was over. And I got pulled over, and the policeman literally told me, you have a lot of beads around your neck. So have you been drinking? And I was like, you pulled me over because I had beads around my neck? And he was like, well, it is Mardi Gras time, and that's usually a time when people start driving drunk and everything. And I was like, I didn't do anything
You're
to
driving while
warrant
black.
him thinking I was drunk. But he saw beads around my neck and was like, we're gonna pull him over. And
You
he
know
pulls
what
me,
you
and
should
I
add
kid you
into that
not.
little
I kid you
story?
not.
You don't drink at
Yeah,
all.
oh, sorry. By the way, I
Yeah,
should mention I don't drink.
at
So
all.
continuing down this
Mhm.
process, I had a gun pulled on me during this stop.
I'm not
The
surprised.
policeman pulled a gun on me during this stop because he asked me to see my license and registration, and I said, sure. And I went to go get it, and he pulled a gun, put it on the back of my head, and told me to move slowly. And this is for me wearing beads on my neck. That is not a legitimate reason to stop anyone for a traffic stop. But I got stopped for that.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Page,
Driving while black. That's the
Dr.
thing.
Page answered the question. I mean, and I'll just say on the podcast, I'm not saying, hey, there's other people in other races that don't have it hard. I'm just saying that certain things aren't an obstacle. Your color, the way you open your eyes, the way you might talk or enunciate, you know,
The fact that you
everything.
move your neck when you speak just
You move
because
your
you
neck.
grew up
But
doing
Dr.
that, but all
Page
of a
did Dr.
sudden that's
Page
an
did very
offensive
good until you
gesture.
said to open it up. So you opened it up. Dr. Page did very good. But no, honestly, it doesn't matter. Because you know what I'm saying? Like these things shouldn't be obstacles because these are natural expressions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you sound loud. You sound aggressive. That tone, watch the tone. What tone? This is how regular talk, or that person is how they regular talk. But sometimes you gotta have corporate awareness. You gotta have, code switching. And that
Mm-hmm.
messes you up mentally. Not
Mhm.
only physically, just mentally.
Mhm.
You know, I can't
Because
go
it's
around.
it's just not you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't
You
go and say,
literally are pretending to be someone else just so that other people can feel
I
comfortable.
don't code switch. I'm this way everywhere.
oh, see this?
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, yo, we can't be speaking our versions of patois because I know it's all different.
Right.
Mhm.
I can't be
I
like, yo,
had to learn
Captain.
that the hard way.
Oh,
Wait,
give
wait,
us
wait.
give us
Sorry,
one,
I
Captain.
want to hear this.
Oh, I am from a very I'm from the sticks,
Mm.
basically. So like my high school graduating class was 74. 7 of us was black, and 3 of them were my cousins. So it
Wow.
was it was I didn't realize that I was experiencing microaggressions or, being the token black girl until I went to college.
Mhm.
And I got around more black people and I got informed and was learning so much that it took me back to my past and was like, wait a minute.
Mhm.
That was racism. But because I lived in that bubble, everybody
Mhm.
knows everybody. You just thought, I'll give you an example. My family was we were well off. I
Mm.
stayed in a nice house
Mhm.
in an all black neighborhood, but we were, the middle class, doing
Mhm.
well family. and they had a competition for Earth Day at my school, and you had to draw a picture, and they were going to be a prize. I probably drew the ugliest picture ever. Actually, I was plagiarizing Michael Jackson. I did Heal the World with a Crack and a Band-Aid. And it was not the best, it was not a best picture, but I ended up winning a bike. And I was really confused by that. Yes. So they just picked me because they thought I was the poor little Black girl that had never had a bike, when in all actuality, I had 3 bikes at home. But they didn't take the time to get to know that. Yeah. They looked at me. Oh, no, the bike went back because my mom was pissed. But they just looked at me and assumed I was poor and didn't have the same advantages as other kids. It never registered to me my mom paying down there.
I'm thinking of you at that time when your mom gave the bike back, like, Mom!
Not even. Not
Was your
even
bike
because I
at
knew
home
I
better than the
didn't
bike
need
they
it.
provided?
No, it was not better. It wasn't. So we gave it back, and they gave it to a kid that could use it. So,
but you were in a contest. So how did you figure? Wait, so your mom basically said, "Yo, that drawing is awful."
Yeah. Well, and I knew it was. I just tried to finish the assignment, and there were people that really drew.
Is nothing if not honest. She's like,
right. You couldn't win. So couldn't win.
Which brings,
but my mom was privy to the microaggressions, and I think she was just trying to protect me from that for the longest. But she knew it. She clocked it immediately. We're not doing this.
But something else that when I talk to my kids, like I tell them like exactly the way things are. I don't like babyfy things for them. I don't like, and like I just like if I start talking to them and their eyes don't glaze over, guess what? They're gonna get the full story of any. And this is not just about racism. This is just anything in general. Like they ask me about body parts, they get the full scientific name and what it does and what it, and like because and when they start running into these things too, they will get it as long as they are willing, as long as I can see in their eyes that they are paying attention, they will get the knowledge they need until their eyes start to glaze over, and then I'll stop. But like I don't hide these things from them or my significant other or anyone that I deal with. Like somebody joined my team, the team I manage, and they were like, you got people from every different culture on this team. They're like, wow, this is a diverse team. And I'm like, the fact that you are surprised by that is in itself a problem. Because all the other teams he was working on were not. But me, I try, if I have too many people of a particular culture, no matter what culture it is, I go, you know what? We need to diversify a bit more. And I tell my recruiter, listen, only pass people to me if they meet these if they are in these categories, because I have one of the highest performing teams, and one of the reasons for that is the fact that we actually have people of all cultures, of all denominations, that have different histories and can bring ideas to the table that I cannot even fathom, and I listen to them, because that is the most important thing you can do as a leader. Use these.
Well, listen and implement, because there's a lot of listening going on, and you don't know if they're hearing or what happens. But you bring up
Yes,
another
but the
quick
first
topic.
step is to lead by example. I listen to them, they know I listen to them, and so as such, they also afford me the same respect of listening and considering my opinions. And everybody on my team is promoted to work under those circumstances. And anyone that tries to overstep other people or shut down other people's ideas or anything immediately gets shut down, and the person is allowed to finish their thought until we can understand the full picture, because that is the way all companies should function.
But I think sometimes you run into people that listen to respond, not listening to understand.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it all
Mm.
depends on
Argue.
what industry you're into, because sometimes you're
Yeah.
like, wait, we're just trying to get to the goal. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sometimes you can't afford to listen because, as Dr. Page brings up, the system is like, there's only so much I can do. You know, from a technical point, as Oracle figure, like, a lot of people have ideas about a certain system, but technically they can't get to it. But you want to listen. But Oracle, you brought up another good topic. I don't know if we have time for it, but like, we don't have, when you have kids or you're young, we can't curtail them in our community. We can't have fantasy time. We got to say this because, you could occur on it the first day. The one that I will say, and it happened from a fellow Black teacher. So I walk with a limp because I have cerebral palsy. My first day, and now remember, I told you I could have been in special ed. I go to a private school, and I'm in first grade, and this teacher punishes me the whole day because she thought I was walking like that on purpose. The kids were laughing. The kids weren't teasing me. I know that. They weren't teasing me, but they were laughing. And she thought I was just doing that. Not once did she look and say, this guy walked to the bathroom, he walked like that. This guy walked to the board, he walked like that. Maybe something is wrong. Man, I wish I was born in this era where we could turn on the camera, turn on. The lawsuit, I would have went to free school, free tuition. Man, I probably would have had a shirt. You know what I'm saying?
And the
Sure.
and the instructor was Black.
The instructor was Black, and
That's
she was
common.
Caribbean. Oh, and she relished in getting my ass punished, or what she thought was going to happen.
There's so much
Wow.
there. We don't have time to go into all that, but
Exactly.
Dude,
there's so much nuance.
doc-
I'm not surprised by your experience being from another Black teacher.
Yeah,
Doctor, my
right.
doctor, we need
Yeah.
to bring you back to
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
unpeel that onion
Next
because
scenario.
oh my God.
But let me finish this quick thought. I'll finish it very quick. 3:00 comes. She walks me over to my aunt. Now my aunt is all right, and she's from the Caribbean, so she say, "Oh, you couldn't see that something was wrong with you." She start talking, and the lady looks at, because the actual lady's actually Caribbean too, and she, again, I will say that teacher was smart in every other essence. One of the best teachers when it came to teaching. But that first day experience, I never forgot, because they also put me through corporal punishment. They had the book and me holding the two books on this, and I have no access. So think about that, right? So the first day, and when my aunt finished talking to the lady, all the lady did was, oh, and like try to do this light apology. And now, 20, 30 years later, you turn on the TV, a kid is barely getting whispered to. And the teacher has lawsuits and they got to pay the city. I'm like, yo, and that was Catholic money. So you can imagine back then, but I never forget that experience. It always stays with me. And that's why I personally,
The thing that amazes me though is the fact that despite those kinds of things, Jay ended up being the person that he is today.
Man.
Despite those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And to me that is huge because
but it's support systems, and then eventually even you guys, so it's cool.
Yay. What? And like I agree, because like sometimes you don't realize, right? Because I have dyslexia, and we grew up on an island where like teachers didn't really know what dyslexia is, and I overheard a teacher telling my mom, "Your kid is just not very bright." And so, you need to be prepared for that. And I overheard it, and my thought was, I'm not very smart. I was 6 years old, and I was like, I'm not very smart. So what I did was, I'm like, okay, I have to do something about this. This is the me being driven part, by the way. I was like, I have to do something about this. So I went home and like I sat there. My mom saw me reading the World Book Encyclopedia, the entire World Book Encyclopedia. And she was like, this is not the behavior of someone who is not very bright. And so she went to get a second opinion from a therapist who was like, oh, your son has dyslexia. He just doesn't read good. And so my mom was like, this is the education system. So my mom quit her job, went back to school to become an educator, and came back.
I love it.
Influence the education system on the island.
Man.
Which is how I got my drive, in case that isn't obvious. Because she decided, not only was she someone who thought that she wasn't going to let the world hold her down, she was also not going to let the world hold her kid down. And so, I owe like my entire lifestyle and my like, I owe my entire life to my parents, because I could not imagine getting a more supportive group of people to make me the person I am. But like, I also understand that not everyone had the same. I also had three parents: my mom, my dad, and my grandma. So like, not everyone has that luxury. And I think it's yeah.
And don't forget the island motto of, you have limitations, so what? You know, like we got to work past it, because you got to be functional.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
What your functional is different for everybody, as we kind of illustrate. You know, whether you're a rapper who, oh, that guy's not smart, and then now it's like one of the smartest persons or smartest people, you know, but once again, everybody in this room has some managerial experience, some smart experience.
Right.
We learn from each other, you know. So again, the diversity, the equity, and the inclusion is to include the whole plethora of the brain. And once again, Dr. Page and Cassie, thank you for keeping us on topic. So this is the longest we've been on. So
it was a real pleasure having you on the show, Dr. Page.
Yep.
Yes.
And of course, Cassie, as always.
No, Cassie is an honorary rando. What are you talking
exactly.
about?
I think
Like,
so.
I am surprised when Cassie isn't on the podcast. Like, that means like you can ask him.
Yeah, I actually told her that yesterday.
I'm like, where's Cassie?
Yeah,
Why was she yesterday?
We had one last week. And of course you're welcome too, Dr. Page. You know.
Yes.
Because I do like the serious topics. I love the serious topics, but sometimes, you know, part of the rando experience is to be rando. But I love when we get serious like that, because you can see that we all have, you know, all this baggage that we never had.
Right.
We never knew we had. This is a therapy session without being a therapy. So.
Right. So, Dr. Page, your work is amazing. Definitely inspirational for sure. I mean, like we said, we have all had experiences that you are fighting against. So I'm all about the cause, and keep up the good work, man.
And do you have a social media channel, Dr. Page, you want to yell out? Oh, there it goes. It was right on.
It's
See, that's what I like. That. That's a little bit of that.
Make sure to check out the description to learn more about turning the page. And while you're down there, you know, like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us all about your experiences while sharing.
All right. As Russell Simmons used to say, thank y'all for coming out. God bless you.
God bless.
Good night.
Good night.